Good evening, friends. For a moment, let us be still and consider this. What if the most effective prayer is the one in which you stop speaking and begin listening? We are not here to persuade a distant deity or to add more words to the air. We are here to yield, to become a transparency for the presence that already is the life of us. Effective prayer is not a plea, it is receptivity, an inner hush in which the awareness of one power, one life dawns. When that dawn breaks, fear loosens its hold without a fight. Supply ceases to be a chase and becomes an appearing. Harmony shows up, not because we forced it, but because we recognized the invisible as the only real. We do not use truth to fix appearances, we rest in truth until appearances dissolve. This is the secret, not something you acquire, but a silence that reveals itself as you. As we move together in this hour, let us lay down the urge to outline or bargain. Let us listen. Let us be available to the presence that whispers here and now. If this resonates, please like the video, comment 777 to anchor your intention, and subscribe for more. Shall we enter the silence now and witness what happens when you truly understand the secret of effective prayer? Let us understand why receptivity is the heart of prayer and petition its shadow. Petition assumes a God somewhere, a power to be moved, a result to be produced. It begins with lack and tries to climb toward fullness. Receptivity begins with God, omnipresence, omniscience, omnipotence, and rests there until the awareness of that fact dissolves the sense of lack. Petition is noise, receptivity is the holy hush in which the infinite announces itself. When you petition, you outline. You say, in effect, this condition must change, this door must open, this person must behave. The mind busies itself with words, arguments, affirmations, and at times, anxiety dressed in pious language. We have no outline. We relinquish the picture and sit as a cup turned upward. Be still and know that I am God. Be still, not passive, but yielded, alert, expectant, without demand. In that listening, the activity of the Spirit bears witness with our spirit. The prayer is not spoken, it is heard. You will notice as you practice that the urge to get will try to intrude. Let it pass. Return to the center with a gentle, "Father, I am here." Then become quiet again. No bargaining, no mental pushing. Silence every attempt to use truth to fix appearances. The infinite way is not a technique to secure better human outcomes. It is the unveiling of the Christ within as your very life. As you rest in that, a soft assurance comes, sometimes as a word, sometimes as a warmth, sometimes as a deep breath that seems not your own. That assurance is the prayer fulfilling itself. Receptivity is trust in the nature of God as good without opposite, present without distance. It does not deny appearances, it refuses to confer reality upon them. You look at the storm and do not wrestle, you abide in the recognition of one presence. You look at the empty purse and do not strain, you acknowledge the invisible as your supply. Then, without your outline, forms shift, opportunities appear, bodies respond, relationships harmonize, not because you persuaded deity, but because you yielded to the law of grace, and grace outpictured as sufficiency, order, and peace. Make this practical. Several times a day, pause. Close the door of thought. Let the body relax. Let the breath find its own rhythm. Whisper, if you like, "Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth," and then cease from speech. 2 minutes of genuine listening are more fruitful than 2 hours of pleading. Come without agenda. Come for God. Seek not things, seek awareness of the presence. Out of that awareness, the things are added, not as prizes, but as the natural appearing of harmony. In time, you will find that receptivity becomes your atmosphere. You walk, drive, write emails, and beneath it all is a subtle listening. That listening is prayer unceasing. It is the tabernacle carried within, the inner Sabbath where the work is finished before it begins. You discover you are no longer trying to get God into your experience, you are letting God be the experience. The ears within open. The heart becomes a sanctuary, and the mind a servant. And when thought rises to argue, you smile inwardly and return to listening. For you have learned that the answer is present in the presence. And that presence is one. There are not two powers. The mind of the world paints a canvas of opposites, health and disease, abundance and lack, safety and threat, love and hate. But if God is truly omnipresent and omnipotent, where would a second power stand? If the light fills all space, what independent force could darkness claim? Darkness is not a rival, it is merely the absence of recognized light. So with evil, not a presence, not a law, but a suggestion, an unthing, appearing as form until truth is acknowledged. This recognition ends the inner wrestling. For as long as you grant a second power, you must fight. You argue with symptoms, debate with headlines, rehearse 1,000 strategies to secure yourself against imaginary opposites. But resist not evil is not passivity, it is clarity. It is the refusal to confer reality upon that which has no principle, no God, to sustain it. When you stop fighting shadows and turn toward the sun, the shadow has no argument left to make. Understand the nature of error, it is impersonal, a hypnotic suggestion moving through the human scene, claiming power by your consent. Withdraw consent. Do not make it personal. My fear. Their malice. This incurable condition. Call it what it is, appearance without spiritual law. Then quietly return to the awareness of one presence, one power, one cause. In that recognition, fear loses its oxygen. Grace, being the only operative law, begins to reveal form congruent with itself. Carry this into daily life. The report comes. It is serious. Do what wisdom requires humanly, yet inwardly refuse to bow before a second power. The bill arrives. There isn't enough. Be faithful over what is at hand, yet inwardly recognize supply as the infinite expressing. Not numbers, but presence made visible as sufficiency. A personality confronts you. Here is an enemy. See through the mask. No person is a power for or against you. Only God is power, and God appears as forgiveness, understanding, and right action where conflict once stood. When you live with no two powers, prayer ceases to be a weapon and becomes a window. You are not trying to bring God in to defeat something, you are letting God be all, right where the appearance claims a rival. You discover that good is not a greater human force, it is the nature of reality revealing itself. The Christ of your being meets the picture and says, "Thou couldst have no power at all except it were given thee from above." And because none was given from above to sustain discord, discord has nothing to lean upon. This is why we impersonalize both praise and blame. If there is only one presence, I cannot be exalted by approval nor diminished by criticism. Glory belongs to God, correction belongs to God. We stop attributing power to medicine or to disease, to money or to poverty, to governments or to anarchy, to climates, planets, heredity or history. We grant power only to the invisible cause, and we watch as effects realign without coercion. Practice this remembrance in quiet moments, one presence here, one power now, one life as all. Then pause and listen, for in the hush where two powers dissolve into one, the inner silence becomes audible and the heart recognizes the law of grace already operating. This silence is not vacancy, it is alive with presence. It is not achieved by strain but by surrender. Do not try to hear with the outer ears. Allow the inner ear to awaken, the faculty of awareness that knows without argument. Sit or walk slowly, with the attention resting softly in the heart. Let the breath settle of itself. With no request and no agenda, consent to be here. Consent to be addressed. The moment you stop managing the moment, you begin to hear beneath the noise of thought. Thoughts will parade, memories, plans, grievances, even spiritual ideas eager to speak. Let them come and go without ownership. You are not the page, you are the quiet margin. If a line of truth presents itself, let it be a key that opens the door to stillness, not a speech you repeat to force results. The letter serves only until the spirit is felt. When the current of peace begins to flow, even as a faint stream, set down every tool. Listening is the prayer. Listening is obedience to what already is. Notice the signs of contact are softening within, a clarity that needs no argument, a love that rises without an object. Sometimes there are words, but often there is a wordless assurance, as if being itself nods. Do not chase phenomena, lights, sensations, images. They may come, they may not, they have no power. Stay with the intangible quality of presence. If distraction returns, smile and return. If agitation arises, let it empty its noise into the silence you are keeping. You are not mastering the mind, you are yielding to what masters the mind. Carry this listening into movement. Before opening an email, pause. Before answering the phone, pause. In conversation, listen behind the words for the tone that speaks through both of you. The outer exchange continues, yet within you the sanctuary remains undisturbed, and from that sanctuary the right word, the needed restraint, the illumined action appears of itself. You will find that guidance comes as inclination rather than command, as an ease toward one step and a release from another. Follow the ease. Yield the anxious push. Trust the hush more than the hurry. Let the day be punctuated with short appointments for silence. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, even 30 seconds of true consent realign the whole field. Set no clock on God, simply withdraw attention from appearances and rest in the awareness that I am. If nothing seems to happen, do not judge. Emptiness is a form of nourishment. Dry ground drinks when the rain arrives, so the heart absorbs what the mind cannot measure. The fruit often ripens after the prayer, showing up as peace in a crisis, as kindness where offense once sharpened, as an effortless rightness in timing. The temptation will come to use this silence as leverage for outcomes. Lay that down each time. We come not to get, but to commune. Out of communion, form takes care of itself according to a wisdom we do not steer. Even correction arrives without condemnation and apology forms. Generosity replaces calculation, fear loosens. The inner Sabbath is kept when you refrain from mental labor and let the presence reveal itself as the only doer. Return often, not to repeat an experience, but to be newly available for the holy office of beholding. To witness truth is to consent to see as God sees, without rushing in to rearrange shadows. Fixing appearances is the old reflex of a mind that believes in two powers. It assumes the picture is real and must be altered. Witnessing assumes reality is already perfect and must be recognized. The beholder's prayer is not, change this, but, what reveals the self here? In that consent, the strain to manage outcomes loosens, and the light that is already present begins to be seen. Consider the difference in your own experience. A symptom appears, a conflict ignites, a bill arrives, and the instinct is to grab tools, words, strategies, arguments, to push the picture into shape. Yet the picture is not the problem. The picture is an echo on the surface of mind. Turning to fix it is like scrubbing a movie screen while the projector keeps running. The beholder turns not to the screen, but to the source of light, allowing the image to clarify because the seeing is purified. Witnessing does not deny what the senses report, it refuses to enthrone it. You acknowledge the appearance and quietly name it, appearance, withholding fear and fascination. Then you return to the inner altar God is. One presence fills this place, one life is the life here, one law operates here. You are not insisting, you are recognizing. Recognition is the gentle heat that melts the frozen suggestion. The more impersonal your gaze, the more easily the mesmerism lifts, like fog before the sun. Let this be practical and simple. When a discord presents itself, pause, withdraw the verdict. Urgent. Mine. Enter the inner silence you have been cultivating. If a word rises, let it be a witness, not a wand. Spirit alone is substance. Love alone is law. I within am the door. Rest the thought there, not to force an outcome, but to abide in reality. Often, nothing outward changes in that moment, yet something essential shifts. You are no longer the fixer. You are the window through which God beholds God. In this posture, you will notice that guidance is precise and tender. Sometimes you are moved to act, to call, to tend, to apologize, to pay, to wait. Sometimes you are moved to be still and do nothing outwardly. Because you are not wrestling the picture, your action carries the weight of peace. It is not reaction, it is response from the center. And when your part is complete, you feel it, an inner seal. The matter is in grace's hands, and grace is sufficient. Understand why this is fidelity to truth. If God is all in all, there is no second self acting a part. What appears as discord is a claim without spiritual law. Your witnessing withdraws the only power it ever seemed to have, your belief. As belief relaxes, the form that belief supported relaxes too. This is not magical thinking, it is spiritual law. The branch lives by the vine, not by frantic effort. So the experience lives by the recognition of its source, not by manipulation at the edges. Apply this even to what the world calls good. Do not cling to pleasant appearances or trust them as security. Behold the giver, not the gift. When praise comes, witness God's grace. When success arrives, witness God's order. When health is felt, witness life itself, not a fragile condition. In this way you are spared fear of loss, because you never placed power in effects. Your constancy is in cause, and effects come and go like seasons without disturbing the root. With practice, the beholder's attitude becomes your native stance. You meet reports, opinions, symptoms, balances, and forecasts with a soft inward glance toward the real. You find yourself less impressed by noise, more impressed by the quiet fact standing where the noise used to be. And as you keep to that holy office, appearances adjust, not as trophies of spiritual willpower, but as the natural yielding of the seen to the seen, the temporal to the eternal, the image to the light that gives it any appearing at all then supply, and harmony appear as the natural consequence of God-awareness, not as trophies collected by human effort. Supply is not a pile of objects, it is the activity of spirit made visible as whatever meets the need of the moment. Harmony is not the taming of circumstances, it is the felt order of the one working as the many without friction. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, appearing not chased, given, not grabbed. Recognize the source as one, and channels lose their tyranny. Employment, clients, contracts, gifts, investments, these are streams, but the river is God. When you confuse streams with source, fear enters. What if this stream dries? When you rest in source, confidence returns, new channels open by law, and former channels increase or decrease without threatening your peace. You handle money, time, and opportunity with reverence and freedom, seeing them as symbols of the one life moving, not as saviors or masters. Let supply be understood as ideas, wisdom, courage, timing, and right contacts as much as currency. Often the first appearing of supply is an idea that reorganizes your work, a nudge to simplify, a light upon an overlooked door. Sometimes it is favor with a person you did not know you needed to meet. Sometimes it is the grace to say no, and thereby make room for the yes that belongs to you. Because you are not begging the picture to change. You are available to the intelligence that knows the perfect form and moment. Be faithful with what is at hand. Pay what you owe with integrity. Give where you are led without fear. Complete what is before you with excellence. This is not superstition, it is alignment. Circulation is the law of spirit. Hoarding announces belief in a second power called not enough. Generosity, guided by inner listening, bears witness to infinite source and keeps the channels clear. You will see that each act of true giving is already met by provision from an unexpected quarter, not as barter, but as the nature of fullness expressing. As for harmony, observe how it dawns when you stop manipulating outcomes. The home quiets, not because every personality shifted at your command, but because your atmosphere changed from control to consent. The body settles, not by argument, but as the nervous system rests in the recognition of one power. Schedules coordinate, conversations soften, opportunities align, because the subtle warfare in thought has ceased. You cannot be in league with the one and remain at odds with the many. The one includes the many in right relation. Refuse to measure supply by numbers alone or harmony by the absence of noise. The deeper sign is ease, work done without strain, decisions made without dread, kindness offered without calculation. There is room for beauty, for Sabbath, for laughter. There is room for correction that does not condemn, for boundaries that do not bruise. The same presence that provides also arranges, warns, and restrains. An inner, not yet, can be supply saving you from waste. An inner no can be supply opening the gate you thought was locked. Keep your gratitude impersonal. Thank the giver, but bless the giver. Enjoy the gift, but abide in the source. Praise, income, health, and success rise and fall in the human scene. Reality remains. Return again and again to the quiet awareness. God is the substance, law, and activity of all true appearing. From that awareness, supply is effortless, sufficiency and harmony is the unforced music of a life in tune, and the heart, no longer clutching, becomes an open instrument through which love spends itself freely in the world. To live as transparency is to let the self that God is shine through the self you habitually defend. It is the end of spiritual ego, no posturing, no private halo, no demand to be seen as good. I can of mine own self do nothing. Ceases to be a verse and becomes your atmosphere. You stop trying to be loving and allow love to be itself where you are. Like a clean window, you neither generate the light nor withhold it. You simply offer no obstruction. Your opinions relax, your justifications quiet, and a presence not born of effort begins to act, speak, give, and withhold through you with a wisdom that surprises your former self. Impersonal love is not cold. It is warmer than affection because it has no bargain attached. It does not love a person, it beholds Christ, identity, and honors it, whether the mask is pleasant or difficult. When you are faced with antagonism, impersonal love declines the invitation to take sides. It sees through the costume of fear and meets it with understanding, sometimes with a firm no, sometimes with an embrace, always without hatred. Forgiveness becomes natural, not as a moral achievement, but because there is no one left to punish, only a claim of separation dissolving in the light of one. Impersonal gratitude is of the same cloth. It is not gratitude for outcomes alone. When things go my way, I give thanks, but gratitude for being, for the presence that is its own sufficiency. The paycheck increases and you are grateful, it decreases and you are grateful, a door opens and you are grateful, a door closes and you are grateful. Not as pretense, but because the giver, not the gift, is your focus. This gratitude keeps the heart supple. It prevents idolatry when good appears and despair when appearances waver. It bows before the source and so remains rich in any season. Make this practical. Begin the day by consenting, Father, glorify the self as my seeing, speaking, giving, and receiving. Then be quiet long enough to feel the consent take root. Move into the day as a witness rather than a performer. Let each encounter be an altar. Before you answer, listen within. Before you sell, bless. Before you buy, bless. Before you correct, bless. Carry the simple inner word, I am a transparency for love, not as a chant to produce results, but as a reminder to remove resistance. When irritation rises, do not conquer it. Let it find no landing place in you. By turning to the inner hush, where love is already complete, impersonality frees you from the roller coaster of praise and blame. Compliment arrives and you pass it through glory to God. Criticism arrives and you pass it through guidance to God. You neither inflate nor collapse. Humility is not a pose, it is the natural state of a branch that knows the vine. From this steadiness, action is simple. You apologize when shown, without humiliation. You succeed without vanity. You decline an offer without fear of scarcity. You wait without anxious calculation, because the door within orders your steps. Notice also that impersonal love is never mushy. It can say no without sharpness, set boundaries without contempt, tell the truth without theatrics. Because it does not need to dominate or to be right, it carries authority. It restores rather than punishes, clarifies rather than condemns. In commerce, it pays what is fair and refuses what is unjust. In conversation, it abstains from gossip and speaks blessing. In the body, it honors rest as much as labor, trusting that the rhythm of grace produces more fruit than the frenzy of self will. As this becomes your stance, relationships take on a lighter tone, creativity loosens, and tasks are transfigured into services of love. You find yourself guided into right partnerships and away from entanglements, guided into right timing and away from hurry. Where gratitude becomes the weather of the heart, quiet, constant, without explanation, because the center from which you live is no longer the shifting self, but the unchanging presence that delights to pour itself as kindness, clarity, and quiet power wherever you are.